Shalom. Give it all honor, all praise, and all glory to Yahweh Bashem, Yahushai Bashem, Rechakwadash. Double understood elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone that rule well. And as always, peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopeful elect tabernacle of David scattered abroad across the four winds of the earth. I'm not going to make this a long video, but it's a spirit, that I was catching this from the elder apostle Tahar, where, you got a lot of Eve, a lot of the so-called black women that are hurting right now in this current economy. Inflation is not getting any better. The price of living is continuously shooting up, soaring up. So the cost of, living in a home, rent prices is constantly going up. And right now, if you're not making a certain amount, you're definitely not going to be able to live on your own and be able to cover all these expenses and utilities, while trying to maintain rent. So if you so-called single, you're definitely hurting. All right. And, a lot of our women that are out there getting evicted, a lot of them on the verge of being homeless. And this is the Lord taking away that comfort zone, because our women that have been at ease, for such a while, being taken care of by the government, having these, government aid programs and housing development, sustainability, they've been receiving this so that they didn't have to, have a man, didn't need the fathers in the household. That's that whole dynamic has been null and void, for decades now. So now the chickens are coming back home to roost. So therefore the sisters are now hurting now. All right. And some of them, they're gonna be forced to, kick that pride and humble themselves. But a lot of them, for the most of them, it's going to be too late. Because the men, they're finally turned their faces, from these women. So this is definitely opening up the door for Isaiah 4:1. The apostle, the spirit is on them to keep, bringing this thing out concerning how a lot of these women, they losing their comfort zone. They're going to be forced to, put their pride to the side, because they're going to need, some type of shelter and some protection. And if you out there homeless and don't have a man, you definitely don't have any covering. You don't have any shelter. All right. So that brings me to this article, because after I was looking at this, you have a woman, a so-called black woman, who was being forced out of her home because, they were claiming that she was missing rent. But come to find out, she never missed a payment. She was on time with all her payments, and then she even renewed her lease. So she's trying to figure out, how in the hell am I being noticed to leave my apartment when I've actually been paying my rent on time? One, that's the curse, but two, this goes to show you that this is clearly not an arrest. So this is from the U.S. Sun. It says, tenant evicted from her home despite never missing rent. She has proof she's in the right, but was given 3 days to leave. That's crazy, man. Just picture that. It says a tenant has been left astounded after getting an eviction notice demanding she leave her home in just 3 days, despite dutifully paying her rent each month. The bizarre note accused Tina Friesen of failing to make rent for her Ohio home, but she has proof she never missed a payment. And I guess she showed her receipts. And that is wrongful if you paying and they still saying, nah, get out. That's wrong. But hey, this what comes along with being under the curse, but also hey the image profile of the so-called black woman is so low right now that anywhere she goes, she's getting this kind of treatment. Like she's being barred and banished from everywhere. Men don't want to deal with her. Restaurants got a low tolerance. They getting kicked out. Now you're getting, evicted every damn where. When you go to a lot of these women's homes, their homes or their apartments are never well kept. It was very junky, trash all over the place. It's just, not a inhabitable environment. All right. So that's why sometimes people don't even want to, rent their properties to them because they're not going to, take care of it. And I'm not saying that all the women live like that, but a lot of them, they're trifling that way. Bad smell, hair and makeup all over the place, trash, dishes piled up in the kitchen. Because they no longer have that wifely duty of keeping the household clean. They don't like to cook or clean anymore. They just want to go out there and work, chase their career and chase rod. That they ain't got time to have their own environment well kept. So anyway, says Friesen, who lives at Kings Cove Apartments in Toledo, Ohio, about an hour south of Detroit, Michigan, was blindsided as she had paid rent in full this entire year. In fact, the tenant has receipts documenting her payments in January, February, and March. After getting the notice, Friesen was terribly confused and said she couldn't sleep all night. CBS local affiliate WTOL reported, "I couldn't wait till the office opened because I'm concerned," she said. "What are you talking about? I just renewed my lease for 2025. She even had a valid lease agreement in hand, but her notice mentioned that she had 3 days to pack up and leave her apartment. She suspects the issues from mixed up when Slakia. She suspects the issue stems from a mix up when management changed hands, leading to her payments not being recorded properly despite her checks being cashed," CBS local affiliate WTOL reported. And that could have been, the issue if they changed management. Sometimes they don't have good communication when it comes to notifying tenants on certain, changes in their policies and agreements and things of that nature. If you live in apartments, then you kind of notice, you probably experienced that, a subtle change in their policies and in the way they're doing things, but they're not notifying their tenants. So that could have been an issue, but still, you can't evict somebody when they actually, paid. But it doesn't help, especially when you fit a certain profile. All right, whether you're that way or not, because the so-called black woman, the world sees her in a certain light. Who knows if, complaints by neighbors have been made against her and getting into disputes, whether domestic, playing loud ass music. If you live in an apartment building with niggas, that's definitely what you're going to experience, and people will contact the front office and basically tell a neighbor is being too loud or they're fighting or whatever the case may be. But this just goes to show you, though, that this is clearly not our rest. All right. And that's why you women are being placed in these conditions, because because of your pride. Scriptures say pride goes before destruction, and a haughty look before a fall. And you're going to start to feel that pressure, man, especially with Trump in office. Everything that he's doing right now is only going to apply nothing but pressure. So you're going to want to, eventually fall in line. And that's where Isaiah 4:1 is going to come. All right. Because it's going to be basically reproachful to be a single woman. So let me start off with this scripture. Micah 2:9. This is in the NASB 20. It says, "You evict the women of my people, each one from her pleasant house or apartment." A lot of these women, they finding themselves homeless. Some of them, they got to go to a homeless shelter. But these women are going to be looking for shelter in men pretty soon. Men, they're ignoring her and doing their own thing, going after the women of these other nations. So she's going to be forced, and she ain't going to have no choice, man. It says, "From her children, you take my splendor forever. Arise and go, for this is no place of rest." America was never our place of rest. When we were brought here on punishment to serve captivity, to serve out our punishment for our iniquities. But now that's getting ready to be over with, and we're getting ready to be delivered. All right, and the Lord is raising up the men, all right, to wake up the nation and to turn them back to the Father through his only begotten Son. And we're going back to our old path. The Lord's reestablishing the natural order, with the Most High being at the top, then Yahushua, then the man, then the woman. And on this side, because you don't allow the damn a serpent get in your ear again with that whole feminist crap, he bugged you out and you deviated from that order, and that's why things are out of whack. And your refusal to get in line, get back in order. This is why you're where you're at. All right. And you felt comfortable for a little bit because you didn't need the man, but now you're starting to see, you're starting to feel those effects. Reality is setting in. It says, "Arise and go, for this is no place of rest, because of the uncleanness that brings on destruction, and painful destruction." This place is filled with lies. It's abominable. It gives you license to do abominable things, to rebel against the Most High. That's why this place is getting ready to get destroyed. And the Lord's going to bring a lot of pain, a lot of calamity here. So that's why the Lord also gave the warning to you women. Rise up, you women that are at ease. Isaiah 32:9. "Rise up, you women that are at ease. Hear my voice, you careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall you be troubled." All right, and this new system that Trump and Elon and the global elite are bringing in is going to come with travail, total trouble. All right, more layoffs, people out of work, inflation increasing, the price of food, the price of gas, energy, everything is going to continue to go up. You're going to have to shack in with people, or you're going to have to get you a husband, which for most of you so-called black women, it's not looking too good. It says, "You careless women, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Tremble, you women that are at ease, be troubled, you careless ones, strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. And be prepared to mourn, for they shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine." All right. So you're going to lose your comfortability, your comfort zone. She that liveth from pleasure is dead while she live. So that's going to open up the door for Isaiah 4:1, where you're going to have to swallow your pride. Talking about you women out there. And women getting evicted, and they even paying their rent and still being threatened with evictions. So it's finna get crazy, man. But anyway, I'm gonna end off with that. Call Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua Shalom.